let's hop right into it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for joining me. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Hit that like on the way in. It's so goddamn easy to do. One friggin' button, hit the like, subscribe to the channel. That's 2 buttons, and you've done so much for the day. That's your good deed for the day, is just the like and subscribe. And unfortunately, bad news before we get to some good news. I know a lot of you have been excited, as have I been, to talk to Kat Abughazaleh, but unfortunately, not long ago, her team messaged me and said that she's going to be unable to make it to today's broadcast. Once again, obviously disappointed. I'm trying my best to get everybody here, trying my best to get everybody coordinated, but it just seems like in this business, it's really, really difficult to get people to, even if they do commit to a time, because of everything that's going on. She's probably incredibly busy with running for Congress, I'm sure. But it's just it's tough to pin people down. So I apologize for kind of leading you guys on with the thumbnail or with the graphic, but it was entirely intended and entirely scheduled. I do promise. I don't mean to feel like I'm leading you on, but thank you guys for your understanding. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. I appreciate the mods as always. Thank you for getting those links ready to fire. I apologize that that is going to be for naught, but we will. Eventually, hopefully, at some point, maybe kind of sort of have the opportunity to speak to Kat before she's elected to vice president or president at this point. I'm not sure. But before we get into what we're going to be talking about, because, I have some time to fill now as for what we're going to be watching and some content now that interview won't be happening. But I'm sure we can find something to fill the time because there's no shortness of craziness going on. I can tell you that much. But before we get into all of that, a little bit of good news, and then I want to talk a little bit about what happened last stream, if I may. And I'd like to get your insights. I'd like to get to get the thoughts of people that have been in and around YouTube for a long time and what you guys think is happening and is going on, because it's really confusing to me. It's really weird, but we'll be talking about it. But a little bit of good news to share with the community. I am honored and blessed and so, grateful to have been asked to cover for Jesse Dollemore for the next couple days, not today, but the next couple days coming, as he returns home from Japan from his trip. So I am at the same time very grateful and, on the other hand, shitting my goddamn pants because with a channel of over, 1 million subscribers, somebody that's clearly on the rise, I want to make sure that, I live up to the expectations and, make sure I keep the wheels churning over there. So big shout out to Jess, a big thank you to him. I appreciate the offer. I appreciate him even, thinking about me in this time. But again, yeah, let's say I've sweat through a couple shirts since hearing about it, or since saying yes, I will step up for you. But I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys check out the work that is going out over there as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the 30th and the 31st, so Thursday and Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be very, very great to see all of you guys over there watching and liking and making sure we can let Jesse know that we are in the house, we are in the building, and people will still support him. Well, thanks, Dawn. I appreciate that. Jesus. Good pep talk, brother. I'm surprised you're not a fucking Olympic coach at this point, huh? No NBA teams calling you? No, the phone ain't ringing off the hook with NFL teams wanting your pep talks before. Jesus. I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try not to. It's gonna be, not only is it a lot different work than I'm used to, obviously doing live shows here, but it's obviously a lot more than I'm used to too. So we're gonna knock the socks off of some people. I can promise you that. some people are gonna recognize, but I do appreciate the support from you guys. So that being said, I would like to talk about last stream before we get into. Obviously, some of the craziness that I have, pulled up and lined up for us to look at today, because I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I still don't know what happened. I still don't know why there was no messages afterwards. The stream, if you went to go look back at the stream after, and in case anybody's wondering, we were looking at a documentary last stream titled "Spies in the White House." Documenting how the KGB had basically manipulated, or ways that they manipulate people like Donald Trump, and how they kind of used his I don't know, shady past, his shady dealings to their benefit and, to hold again, over his head. And at 2 points during the stream, I was contacted by several people saying that I was no longer live. It said that the stream had been removed. It said that the stream had been suspended. I went and pulled it up myself, saw it with my own eyes. I was then immediately put back on stream. But the weird thing is on StreamYard, never once did I get a message. Did it say you've been kicked off the stream? Did it say you're offline on YouTube? The green check mark was there the entire time, which is kind of strange because after the show, I think it's like another 30 minutes or something after the show ends, the live ends, it gets posted or technically posted, whatever you call it. But if you went back and watched the live, there was absolutely no interruptions to the live stream. There was no point that the screen went blank, that I was off screen. The phone calls that I was getting while people were saying I was off stream, you can watch on the stream. There was no messages from YouTube, which there always are in cases of copyright or somebody having a problem with you playing their content. Nothing. No messages, no, nada. Zip, zilch, nada, nothing. And the whole stream was up. So, which is strange considering I went down twice. It not only was just, me not on live, but it said clearly you are suspended or this stream had been suspended, right? We were joking around. It was the deep state. We're getting too close to the truth. But I'm not so sure that's far off from what actually happened, right? So I'm kind of confused because now all of a sudden you can't watch it. Now on YouTube, it says that there's a restriction on it and that you can't watch it. And that only certain sections of the documentary that I was watching actually violate not the terms of service, because it's actually not a copyright strike against the channel, which is something else that's weird. I don't understand how it works. I don't understand. It's weird. But again, it would, if you go to YouTube Studio, it actually shows you the timestamps of the parts that they think, either violate the terms of service or are under copyright review, whatever it may be. And it was only certain sections of the documentary. It wasn't the whole thing, start to finish from when I played it or when I brought it up or only the moments I had it on screen. It wasn't. It was just random moments. So I'm not really sure. I'm kind of curious to people that have been in and around YouTube for, longer than I have, as to what you guys think, because I'm hesitant to read it. It read policy violation on our side. So odd. Yeah, it's so weird because it's not. I have no violations against the channel. There are no copyright strikes whatsoever. Anytime that I've even seen the word copyright involved, it says clearly that this is not a strike against your channel. This is not a copyright strike. So I'm still kind of a little unsure as to what was going on. But again, who's to say that we weren't getting too close to the truth, or that, people, because it wasn't, even the comment that I still have from YouTube Studio isn't from DW, who put out that documentary. It wasn't like, hey, we don't like you using our content, right? It was from some random, obscure, unknown entity. You know what I mean? It just, none of it adds up. None of it makes sense. So I was just kind of curious as to what you guys think. Because like I said, I know we joke a lot of time about people watching the stream and, fucking the deep state and Donald Trump and got people behind the scenes making sure that you don't kind of, show the emperor wearing no clothes, so to speak. And I'm not so sure that wasn't what we were witnessing. I'm not sure that wasn't what was going on, because to be suspended, right? Let's just roll through this logically. If your stream was suspended, and I brought this up at the time, why would your stream be allowed back up without any communications, any notifications, any appeals, you know what I mean? Like anything whatsoever. If it was suspended and it was brought down, that means it was deemed to have in some way broken the rules, whatever, right? Let's just say. So then why would it then be brought back up only to be taken down again for the same reason, only to be allowed back up again afterwards? Right? Like, so on no matter which way you slice this, it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And, luckily I don't make a goddamn, if I make a penny from a live stream as far as like ad revenue and monetizing it that way, then, it'd be a great live stream. So I'm not too worried about it in that regard. But as far as people not being able to see it at all, I have a problem with, right? And I'm not so sure I'm willing to bend the knee in order to just remove, the entire fucking premise of the show and the point to the show and the clip that we were watching, the documentary that we're watching, in order to appease, I don't know, maybe the people at YouTube, the people that own YouTube. I'm not sure. Are they, kind of frightened by what's happened to CBS and 60 Minutes and, Donald Trump attacking the media? I'm not sure. I don't know. I do not know. I'm not sure. But it does seem like something fishy and some strange activities were going on during the last live stream. You guys noticed it. Like I said, I saw it with my own eyes. I went to the site when I was called. I looked at it. It said suspended or site suspended, stream suspended, yada, yada, yada. But then afterwards, absolutely no messages from YouTube. The stream was up from beginning to end without interruption, nothing taken down. And then all of a sudden now there's only certain parts of it that's a problem, but others aren't a problem. And if it was a violation or I was supposed to be suspended for some reason, why was it allowed back up twice without, again, communication, appeal, anything like that, right? So these are the questions that I have. I don't know if you guys have the answers. I don't know if you've seen anything like that before elsewhere on other people's channels. But if you do have maybe some suggestions, some answers, maybe, because again, it's not a copyright strike. I don't have a strike or even a request from DW not to play that video or anything like that. So, before I lose my head too much, because again, my head's spinning at this point already anyway. But what do you say we dive into it again? Thank you so much to the mods. Thank you so much to the chat, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody who's nice enough to send a Venmo. Oh, again, here's another great bit of news. I do have the old cell phone back, right? So I am able to pull up the old Venmos. I am able to start thanking people once again. Let's see here. Well, Donald Trump. Oh, Mel's texting me. Apparently, the owner of the original documentary has a copyright claim, which isn't an actual copyright claim because it says it's not a copyright claim against the channel. It's just that the video can't be monetized, but it also can't be seen as well. So I guess Red Shadow Over the White House is the apparent name of the thing. But I'm not sure as to what processes went through that. But I appreciate the update on that. I think she's doing a little bit more digging behind the scenes to try to figure out what the hell was going on there. So I appreciate that. But good news, cell phone's back. So again, you can once again get the recognition you so deserve, get the shout outs that you so deserve by sending a Venmo right here. $1 or $2 helps goes a long way in helping the channel. But you can also become a channel member just underneath me. You can gift memberships just underneath me. I think it's $2.99 for the month to become a member. If you want to go the extra mile, you can sign up at patreon.com/Boston Brian. I would really, really appreciate the help and the support. It would be a great thing to come out of this on the other side of 15,000 subscribers, so we could head into this new challenge that we face. With the wheels turning, with some momentum, you know what I mean? But all right, let's check in with a little bit of a couple of the stories that we'll be looking at today. That's not one of them. That's just the background. I don't know why I pulled that up. All right, so I'm not going to need this. Excuse me as I rearrange my entire show that I had pulled up already. I guess this is probably worth showing. I was going to play this while Kat was on there, but this is probably worth showing to you guys as well. Let me throw this up on the screen for a second. And this is titled, that one right here. Put this up at the stage. All right, so this is, once again, obviously you guys know that we've been doing the deep dive and really been on the backs, and trying to do our best to put our knee on the backs of ICE as far as keeping the pressure on them, and putting them in the spotlight, keep it being talked about, make sure that everybody knows to get out there and record, right? Fucking, you want to follow and film these people at every fucking turn. This is actually recorded history. This is going to be used going really long into the future as a way to look back upon this moment and see what should be avoided and, the things that we shouldn't do in order to lead us back into this moment. But it's great to see everybody getting out there and kicking ass. But, Stephen Miller here, Nazi Stephen Miller, isn't very happy with what's going on. He doesn't like the fight back that the citizens have shown. He doesn't like the fight back that people like J.B. Pritzker and AOC and, people like that have shown against this regime. So basically what he's doing now is just kind of reiterating Donald Trump's tacit permission to basically, for ICE officers and Border Patrol agents and anybody, that's out there being sent and used as political pawns, political weapons by this Trump regime, basically tacit permission to act as violently as they possibly can, to do anything in retaliation, anything in response if they deem it necessary. And now he's basically telling them that all of these federal agents now have federal immunity. Again, what's that going to put into the minds of these people that we've already seen aggressively and egregiously attacking U.S. citizens, right? And what did we talk about the other day? The raid, the fucking, I don't even know what you call it, a raid. I'm not the steam rolling down of what was it, Canal Street in New York City there, where they were supposedly going to arrest hundreds and hundreds of fucking illegal aliens and oh my God, all these criminals and thugs. What they get 9? I think they got 9 undocumented migrants, and they ended up rounding up, I think, 7 U.S. citizens in detaining them and having to, free them and let them go. So almost as many U.S. citizens as undocumented migrants as they rounded up. And again, that's not even going into what kind of criminal record or lack thereof these 9 people, these 9 individuals that, again, we saw the chaos going down Canal Street and the fucking, the hoopla and flipping over tables and making sure these people can't sell goods. 9 people. And I know for some reason they just love the number 9. Donald Trump loves saying 9. It sounds great when it came out of Hitler's mouth too, and Inglourious Bastards. So maybe maybe they were watching that recently, and that's where they keep coming up with this 9. But speaking of 9, speaking of Hitler, speaking of Nazis, speaking of Inglourious Bastards, let's listen to Stephen Miller here in his fucking ridiculous mouth tell ICE agents that they basically have, again, carte blanche to do as they choose with the citizenry of this country. Check this out.
J.B. Pritzker could be arrested. Let's talk about your willingness and under what federal authority do you arrest a sitting governor?
Well, the answer I'm about to give doesn't only apply to Governor Pritzker. It applies to any state official, any local official, anybody who's operating in an official capacity who conspires or engages in activity that unlawfully impedes federal law enforcement conducting their duties. So if you engage in seditious conspiracy charges, depending on the conduct, and many other offenses. So again, it depends on the action, it depends on the conduct, it depends on what is taking place. But what we need to reassure, a couple points, to all ICE officers, you have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties.
Federal immunity in the conduct of your duties, right? So again, just reiterating to these already fucking hyped up, muscle-bound fucking freaks out there with their masks and their body armor and their fucking AR-15s, again, staring straight down the barrel, straight down the face of fucking frogs and people in blow-up costumes. These people, it's just what they need now is more permission, more instruction from fucking Nazis like Stephen Miller, on how to, again, go after, elected officials and U.S. citizens, again, at this point, is what he's telling people.
And anybody who lays a hand on you or tries to stop you or tries to obstruct you is committing a felony. You have immunity.
And again, even those people, peacefully protesting, using their First Amendment rights, even those people, you're going to be rounded up. You're going to be detained. Even if you're U.S. citizens, doesn't matter. We'll hold you for 24, 48 hours, then we'll release you. But you're not going to make a big stink about it, right? I'm sure not a problem. But yeah, that's Stephen Miller, again, given tacit permission. We keep saying it on this show that they've been given tacit permission by this administration, by this regime, by people and Nazis like Stephen Miller, by assholes and fucking orange incompetent buffoons like Donald Trump himself, on basically, doing anything, whatever they deem necessary. Anything that they deem necessary will be backed up in the court of law. They'll be given immunity. Don't worry about it. They'll back them up in the lawsuits, which we've seen several already. And again, we were going to talk about, with Kat, there's several times that she's been tossed to the ground and hit by ICE officers as well. So it doesn't even matter. And she's even spoken about it on several different media organizations, where if that's how they're going to treat people with cameras and journalists and media there, I mean, let's just think about how they treat people in custody. Let's just think about how they treat people when there's no cameras there, when there's no protesters there, right? And this is just the beginning of this too. This is just the beginning of this, which kind of brings us on to, more of this authoritarian push, more of this dictatorial, unconstitutional, what else can you say, against international law, against the Geneva Convention, against what the international community deems as or is exactly what the international community deems as an act of war or acts of war, is now just this, because another 4 strikes were undertaken in just a single day. Let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys. In just a single day, another 14 people were killed by this administration, by this regime, in international waters off the coast of the Pacific. Another 4 strikes, killing another 14 people. I don't know, brings the total somewhere above or close to the number of 50 people now have been killed without evidence, without due process, without being intercepted, without being, questioned, without being identified. All of these people, every single one. So here's an ABC News clip detailing and depicting the latest postings from Pete Hegseth, our drunken, womanizer, abusing fucking Secretary of Defense. And the latest 14 people that have been killed and the latest 4 strikes that were undertaken just yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see if we can dive into this again. 14. This is titled 14 Dead and More U.S. Strikes Against Alleged Drug Boats. Hegseth says.
The Secretary of War is announcing more strikes on suspected drug traffickers in the Pacific. Pete Hegseth says the U.S. carried out strikes against 4 more alleged drug boats, killing 14 people. Senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez and White House correspondent Karen Travers have more on that. So, Louis, what are you learning about these strikes?
Just real quick, while they're discussing this, I'm going to run downstairs real quick and grab a drink. So I'm going to let this play, let them discuss this, and I'll be back in less than 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Be right back.
Well, Dan, what we learned is that, once again, it's in the Eastern Pacific. This is now the 3rd time that we've seen strikes in the Eastern Pacific. The bulk of these strikes have been occurring in the Caribbean around Venezuela. But we learned that 14 individuals were killed in the 3 separate strikes that targeted 4 ships. You see right there that there were 2 vessels that were side by side. That was the first strike, then followed by 2 other strikes on speeding boats. But there was a survivor in this incident that took place yesterday, in one of these 3 incidents that took place yesterday. And it's unclear exactly whether this individual was rescued by Mexican Search and Rescue, because they were the ones who were tasked with rescuing this individual.
Louis, in a speech to service members in Japan, President Trump also threatened land strikes again. Any more from the Pentagon on that?
There's really not been any information on this, Diane, because the president keeps talking about land strikes.
It's funny, the numbers go up when I leave screen. I just should let these clips play. You guys are probably more apt to watch those. But another thing, here's another bit of incompetence, right? So it's going to be really interesting, to say the least, what happens to this one person that apparently survived these attacks. Like if we were discussing the other 2 people that allegedly survived the latest attacks, the recent attacks that we were talking about, and how they were just kind of repatriated to their to their respective countries. They weren't charged, they weren't prosecuted, they weren't deemed as terrorists, they were no longer drug dealers. They were just kind of released. We said, oops. I know CNN actually did catch up with one of them. Did I play that in the show? Now it's tough for me to remember everything that I played on the show, but CNN did catch up with one of these survivors of these drug boats. Let me see if I can pull this up. I forget now if I played it, but I'll just kind of show you the headline here. Yeah, this is the one. I think I did kind of play. I think if I remember correctly, I did play this on the show. We did discuss this. He survived a U.S. military boat strike despite a drug record. His family says he's a fisherman caught at Trump's war at sea. And we did go through this. Now that I'm thinking about it, we talked about, his past and what his family knows about him and the last time they saw him and stuff like that. So again, this is what's coming out. This is what's being reported here by CNN, who actually did catch up with one of these people. And I believe it was an Ecuadorian and a Colombian, if I'm not mistaken. And again, they were just repatriated, again, not charged, not deemed as terrorists, not deemed as people extremely dangerous to this country that shouldn't be released and needs to be in captivity and held in, whatever, some remote fucking jungle prison that they have built somewhere that nobody knows about. No, they were just straight up released. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the one survivor here that was, if I heard correctly, was picked up by Mexican authorities. I'll have to double check on that. I believe that's what I heard. That's what I heard as I was running downstairs. But, if they just kind of repatriate this person, they just kind of, send him back to his homeland. It tells you a lot about the evidence or lack thereof that they have on these people. Because again, Doesn't matter if they survive these strikes. It doesn't be like, okay, you're a criminal, you're a terrorist, you're a drug dealer, you're literally so bad that you're a target for a missile strike by the U.S. military. But if for some reason you happen to, I don't know, survive those strikes, or dive in the water, or whatever it may be, somehow if you survive that, then apparently you have amnesty, you have immunity. You're no longer deemed a terrorist. You're no longer deemed a criminal. You're no longer a drug dealer that apparently is responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths of Americans in this country. You're just, you've played the game so well. You got so much credit for dodging that missile strike that apparently you just, you get a free pass, free bus ride right back to your house. Now, does that make sense to anybody? Does that sound like, people that have evidence to suggest exactly who these people are, what they're carrying, why they're there? Were they instructed? Were they coerced? Were they paid? Were they, fucking held captive? Do they know the ins and outs? Doesn't seem like they do. Otherwise, they'd probably be more willing to, again, prosecute, bring this person to justice, lay out the facts of the case in court, right? That whole rigmarole, the fucking judicial system that we have in this country, but not what's happening.
Actually, one of the things he does say is land routes, targeting the drugs that flow in by land. So it's unclear exactly what he means. But we did hear from Senator Lindsey Graham this past week.
Oh, and we do have some clips here from Trump's embarrassing trip to Japan. We have some ironic stories as well, as he talks to troops. Not only talks to troops, but he talks to troops in Japan. So we have a story dating back to his first administration that I'm sure a lot of you may or may not remember. If not, it would be a good refresher to show you, again, the hypocrisy, and again, the some of the bullshit that he pulled out with, talking about he wants to, he wish he had the jobs of the people in the military. Well, that's fucking hilarious, coming from somebody that faked bone spurs so many times in order to dodge being in the military. Not only that, but he's talking about like how much money people are making, again, as he's talking to people in the military that are during a government shutdown, as we approach, day 30 now of the government shutdown, are not getting fucking paid. So it's like, and you can tell by some of the reaction of the soldiers in the background, he wasn't as warmly welcomed as he was by the Navy, who were, I'm sure, highly instructed to be warmly receptive of the commander-in-chief there. But let's see if we can go on just with a little bit of this. And then hopefully, if we have time, or definitely if we have time at the end, we're going to be finishing. We're going to go to the front lines in Ukraine. And when I talk about the front lines, going to the front lines, we are going to the front lines in Ukraine. United 24 put out a fantastic new video here depicting what these people go through on the front lines, and how fiber optic drone usage has picked up, has increased, and the kind of the damage, the destruction, and how we kind of progress, how war progresses from here. Because slowly but surely, even the early stages of drone activity that we saw so rapidly put into effect, the technology so rapidly progress and advance, even the beginning stages of what we saw as far as drone technology is like rapidly being deemed as outdated, or just something that you can't use, right? Because now there are more technologies, better technologies, and again, this fiber optic drone usage is a real game changer as far as not being able to deter it, right? So unless you go up there with a fucking pair of scissors and cut that wire, or the wire's broken, or they lose, communication somehow, like that thing is 90 to 95% getting to its fucking target. And I'm sure it's probably even higher than that. So we'll be diving into that. I'm pretty excited to hear and have you guys see what's going on there, and meet some of the people that I had the fantastic opportunity of meeting during my trip to Ukraine. So let's dive into just a little bit more of this, and then we'll get into Trump's embarrassing Japan visit that he had.
On one of the Sunday talk shows, where he said he believes that President Trump has convinced himself that we need to see land action inside of Venezuela and possibly even Colombia. Now, what does that mean? I think one of the things that's been talked about is potentially the use of airstrikes targeting drug labs in either of those countries. But again, if that does take place, that would be a significant ratcheting up of what we've seen, because all of these strikes that we've seen.
You think airstrikes on a fucking sovereign territory of another country would be, raising the stakes, you say? You don't say. That's good analysis there. I do agree with the analysis, but pretty much needs I don't think that needs to be said. It's pretty much that obvious. But again, how do you think that's going to be received by Maduro, by Venezuela? You think they're just going to sit back and allow Donald Trump and the United States free will to, launch airstrikes upon their country wherever and however they want? And I know they have, limited resources and limited capabilities and ability to, affect any change in that. But again, doesn't mean that they can't. Take down at least some. Right? They can't. It doesn't mean they're not going to at least try, or it doesn't mean they can't inflict some damage. And again, anybody lost to this ridiculous mission, any soldier harmed, lost, captured, whatever it may be, to this ridiculous mission, even if it's in an accident on one of the ships while they're floating around at fucking sea. You know what I mean? Even that it should not have happened. They should not be in that position. And again, is just an incredible waste of, highly trained, very useful assets that could be used in, other ways throughout the globe, much more effectively. Oh, thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate that. Thank you. And I'll make sure I give everybody their shout out and their highlights at the end of the show, as I always do. So if you guys want to, if anybody is kind enough, generous enough, and in the financial position to do so, like Yvonne, please make sure you throw it in the chat. You can do a super chat, super sticker. You can gift memberships. You can sign up yourself. And I do, at the end of the show, make sure to highlight and congratulate and thank every single person that contributes to the show, so that you don't feel left out. So make sure you hang around to the end of the show. But let's dive into some of this guy's embarrassing Japan trip as well. And again, a lot of Donald Trump's administration, a lot of even what the media, the media's role in all this can be summed up by, a simple question, and you can interject different names in there if you want, but basically it's the what if this was blank, right? So let's think in our minds, if this was, probably the easiest pickings, the lowest hanging fruit on this tree would be Joe Biden, right? What if this were Joe Biden again, where Fox News and OAN and Newsmax had to literally doctor fucking images, doctor footage to make it look as if Joe was doing something that he really wasn't, right? Sometimes he may have been, kind of in the wandery section, but other times it definitely wasn't that, and it was Fox News' propaganda wing and the right-wing propaganda arm to have to manipulate these videos in order to make it look like, somebody was lost. And again, you can interject any name you want. You can say Obama, you could say Biden, you could say Hillary, you could say, whoever you want, even Republicans, say Bush or whatever. I mean, if this was any other president like this would be, again, something that would be talked about, especially coinciding with Donald Trump talking about his latest fucking dementia test, right? His MRI that he had, his swollen fucking cankles, the bruising on his hand, the, insufficient venous activity that he was diagnosed with. The recent trip to Walter Reed, the cognitive abilities and deficiencies that are clearly becoming more prevalent day by day with this man. His hunched over status, the fact that he's hunched over all the time, and his, sometimes his fucking face is drooping. Like, we got to put all of this together. And I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be one. I didn't play one on TV, but I can see things that are in front of my face, and I can put two and two together, and I can come up with, a very educated guess on what may or may not be happening, or at least have enough information to say that things aren't looking fucking good, right? I mean, I think we can all at least say that. But here is Donald Trump, and even The Independent, ladies and gentlemen, has this titled, "Trump Wanders Off While Meeting with Japanese Prime Minister." Okay, that's what The Independent's got it titled as. So pretty much straightforward here. You know what you're going to get. Let me get out of the way so you can get the full picture, and I'll let it play. And just watch Trump this whole time, and watch how fucking hard the Japanese prime minister is trying to, lead him with a leash, like, around this room, which I'm sure was described. This whole act was not only probably rehearsed and described to the world leaders or the people in attendance here several fucking times, so they knew what to do when they got into this moment and didn't look like assholes. But watch the Japanese prime minister trying to get Donald Trump's hand like he's a fucking 2-year-old child, at some fucking at some sporting event or something. Then you just can't get him to act right. Check this out. All right, Yep, you're going to go on that side. So apparently what I'm getting from this right off the bat, he's already on the wrong side. He's clearly supposed to be on the other side. Don't ask me why. I don't know if that's just tradition. I don't know if that's just what they rehearsed, but clearly you can see the Japanese prime minister is like, okay, so if you want to be on that side, you can be on that side, but I'm going to be on this side, right? So right off the bat, he's already screwed up. He's already screwed up. This way, sir. No, we didn't know. It wasn't part of the plan for us to stop here. We go around, we keep walking and, we go around the L shape that you remember the rehearsal? Do you remember this? It was because it was about an hour ago. You should you should remember this. Let me see your cankles. Are your cankles? Nope, they aren't that swollen. Let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, sir. Turn over your hand, sir. Yep. Oh, no. Okay. The bruising's not that. No, you should remember about an hour ago because we just did this. Okay. Look at her. She's like, no, fucking this. No, this way. No, this way. Check it out. Oh, God bless her. She even tries to slow her roll. Like, she quite literally slows her roll. I don't know, like, if this is why or where the term was invented, but she quite literally tries to slow her roll to be like, all right, he stopped. He's definitely can't stop for that long. If I just kind of slow down my pace here, he should turn any second. No, he's not turning. All right, let me turn back and get this fucking fool. Oh, look at him. Look, and she's like, fuck, he's not moving. This way, sir, this way. No, we're going to walk right there. Yeah, thank you. Okay. This way, Gramps. You're going to stand right there. I even have the soldiers like right there, you fucking moron. Look at the soldier. Even this guy's like right there, you fucking idiot. Like, we just fucking talked about this. You have one job, walk in the L shape and stand where you were fucking told to stand. And you couldn't even do that right. And the Japanese soldier, who's usually restrained, right, and has great fucking manners, is like, right there, you fucking moron. Oh, I love it. And of course, that's not what he's doing, but I kid. She's looking nervous as a fucking bedbug right now. She is like, okay, what is this moron going to do here? Can we just get through this? Please, God, just get through this. Give him a smile, a wave, anything. And let's just please, God, let me get out of here. He stinks. I can't deal with the smell. He doesn't know what he's doing. Nothing's going right. Yep. And then you're going to go over here, sir. Please. Quickly. Notice this isn't even, hold on, is there a different angle of that? Let me see if I can get a different angle of that, because I think that's the moment. Oh, hold on. I think that's the moment. Give me a second. Give me a second. Because I think that's the moment where they were actually probably supposed to stop and pay their respects or bow or whatever they're supposed to do at that moment in time. And he just keeps fucking walking, and she's left there by herself, like, like bowing. Right, let me see if I can find this real quick. I think there was a different angle. Fuck. Where did I say it? Trump, Japan, PM. Let's see here. Was it that one? At this one? Let's see what angle this gives us here. What is this? Oh, this is live. No, I don't want that one. I want the other one. The one that we were just watching. Come on, where is it? I had just watched it. Oh, is this it right here? Ready? Hold on, sorry, they got two bits of music playing there, but I think you'll get the idea. This is titled "Watch Japanese PM Jaw Drops as Trump Walks Cluelessly at Guard of Honor." Full video. Oh, it's great. Check it out. Ready? Play. Okay, so that's the moment we just saw. She's like, okay, now we're gonna do this way. He looks like he has a little droopy jaw going. Well, it doesn't look like hers is the only jaw that's dropping in this fucking video. It looks like he's got the old droop jaw going too there. Right, so this is the exact moment. This is the moment. This is the moment I'm talking about. Look at her. She's like, this asshole, this motherfucker. Like, where's he going? We're supposed to, the one place we were supposed to stop is the one place he doesn't fucking stop. One more time, I gotta see that. Oh, it's too good. Ready? And she even points to the spot. If you'll notice, she even points like, okay, we're gonna stop. Ready? Watch. Okay, so she points to the spot. Basically, I'm sure she's like, okay, we're gonna stop right there, as you were told, as you were showed. Please stop right there. And does Don? What does he do? Oh, if that doesn't about sum up, the entirety of, the majority of people's feelings towards this guy's administration, I don't know what does. Look at her. She's like, this motherfucker. All right, so that's the part that we were just watching here. So that's this exact moment, basically, after she did the, after she did the jaw drop. So you couldn't see it from this angle, but you could see it from this one. So she stays. She does the, she stays and goes back and does the proper bow, the proper salute, the proper, recognition that they were supposed to give at that moment in time. But you can see her reaction. You can see her reaction like, you son of a bitch. Like, I knew he was going to do it. I knew he was going to do it. Let's see what else this plays. Like, literally, they have a fucking guard. Like, the guard is quite literally being like, no, keep fucking walking. Keep moving. They have to have a bodyguard from there. I'm surprised there's quite literally no leash. Like, no, keep going, dude. This way. There's quite literally only one way you can go. Please go that way. She's trying to pull him again. You see that? She's reaching for him again. Watch her hand. Watch her left hand. She's like, no, this way, asshole. Watch her left hand. This way. Fucking hell. Oh, fucking Christ. I mean, just the endless list of ways he's just in a complete and utter embarrassment to this country is just fucking never ending. Never ending. We wouldn't have a tree left on earth if we continued to jot down with paper and ink every single time and moment that this asshole is embarrassed this country. And again, before we get to Trump speaking to the troops in Japan, I would like to bring this up because I'm not sure if you guys remember this or not, but it coincides nicely because from Donald Trump's first term, his first stab at it where he fucked up royally and was responsible for over 1 million deaths here in America because of his mishandling of COVID. This is during a trip to Japan, I believe 2017. Okay, another trip to Japan as he's on his trip to Japan. And this is how he was actually, there was a memo put out on behalf of Donald Trump almost ordering and demanding the removal from the line of sight the USS John McCain warship that's stationed in fucking Japan needed to be out of sight so Donald Trump didn't see the name John McCain. And again, I just want to kind of bring this up and remind you guys as we're hearing Donald Trump speak to the fucking military and speak to the Navy and, try to, rub up against their rub shoulders with the warriors and make it seem like he's just one of the gang and one of the guys. Again, Mr. fucking Bone Spurs, Mr. Deferment, so he didn't have to serve. And again, the guy that once again called veterans suckers and losers, said he didn't like people that were captured. He likes people that weren't captured, amongst many other ways he demeaned fucking demagogued against, people that have actually served this country and given up their lives and given up their livelihoods and everything that they hold near and dear in order to, again, maintain our freedom here and maintain the democracy that we still hold on to, that little fucking sliver of democracy we still hold on to in this country. But I just want to play this just to give everybody a refresher course and just kind of reiterate the hypocrisy of the shit that you're about to hear from Donald Trump as he's speaking to troops in Japan. I want you guys to actively and, be able to recognize and remember off the top of your dome really quickly every moment and instance this time, this guy has fucking basically taken a shit on military service members in this country. So again, this is the story about how the USS John McCain, who is, I would remind you, not just named after Senator John McCain, but also John McCain's father, who was also a fucking war hero. John McCain himself, who was shot down over Vietnam, spent time at the Hanoi Hilton. If you know anything about the Hanoi Hilton or the Vietnam War, not a fucking nice place, was tortured. That led to his, disability, his inability to use his arm, to its full function, which was again made fun of by Donald Trump. And we'll play the clips here, but I just want to play this just to kind of give everybody a refresher course on this asshole, the things that he said specifically about John McCain, and also other things that he said about veterans as he's speaking in Japan. And again, this was on a 2017 trip to Japan. So again, very one-to-one connection here. Let's play this. I appreciate you guys. Please hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for everybody that's sending Venmos. Thank you so much for everybody that's signing up for YouTube memberships and at patreon.com/Boston Brian. Hopefully we're on our way to 15 and then 20 and then 50,000 here, because I know it's coming. I can feel it. And it's only with your help that we get there. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
What a group. What a group.
The commander-in-chief on Memorial Day on the USS Wasp in Japan. But tonight the president says he was not behind the unusual move to keep the USS John McCain, berthed nearby, hidden from view while Mr. Trump was on board.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't involved. I would not have done that.
A military officer in an email obtained by CNBC told the Navy USS John McCain needs to be out of sight during the
So quite literally in orders, in writing, in detail, saying that the USS John McCain specifically picked out that fucking warship, specifically picked it out by name, saying that it needs to be out of sight. Now, whether this was at the, direct orders of Donald Trump or this was just kind of like, a fucking Nazi Hitler moment where, Hitler really doesn't have to give direct instructions per se, but as long as he kind of is, vaguely clear about what he wants to see happen or his disdain for veterans or his disdain for John McCain
gave that order.
In particular, right? As long as those things are prominent, then somebody in his fucking court, somebody in his line of sight, let's say, recognized that he hated John McCain so much, or he hated John McCain's service to this country and despised John McCain and his father. And not only that, but was willing to, again, demean and shun the U.S. service members on the USS John McCain, who I'm sure are extremely proud of their ship, extremely proud of their crew, and would be extremely proud to have that ship fucking front row center at any visit by the president to the area of combat, to the area in which they're stationed in, right? So this isn't just about the name on the back of it. This is about the soldiers serving on the ship and their fucking honor and the duty that they have, right? About the service that they hold, about the ship that they're on. I'm sure they have a complete and total respect for what fucking goes on. And again, this is put out in writing saying that it needs to be out of sight. And again, whether at the direct, request by Donald Trump or just because he talks so much shit, in the back, behind closed doors in these fucking, smoke-filled cigar rooms about veterans and John McCain, that people just knew that this needed to happen, kind of paints the same picture. Paints the same fucking picture.
Never do a thing like that. Now, somebody did it because they thought I didn't like them, okay? And they were well-meaning, I will say.
And the fact that he says they were well-meaning right there kind of gives the game away, right? Now, he's trying to lie and say somebody may have done that just because they don't think I like him. I wonder what would give them that idea. And then he goes on to say it was well-meaning. So, which basically is saying that the person, if, this whole fucking made-up story of somebody just kind of hearing them talk about John McCain and then going through all this trouble of putting this fucking order in writing, They just so happened to they were spot on. Actually, they were so well intent. It was so well intent that they were 100% spot on with my hatred for him. But it's not something that I said. It wasn't done at my direction. It paints the same fucking picture. Whether or not somebody knows that you're such a scumbag, you know what I mean? You're fucking an asshole enough that you would take your fight out on, a deceased man and his deceased father's ship that was named in their honor, a war hero, both war heroes, as you were fucking, again, taking deferment after deferment after deferment for your bone spurs so that you could stay out of active duty, is fucking wild.
Was not invited to the president's speech. In fact, the ship honors not only Senator McCain, but also his father and grandfather, both famous admirals. Today, Meghan McCain firing back.
When you repeatedly are attacking my father and war heroes, it creates a culture in the military where people are clearly fearful to show, my father's name in one way or another. And that, I think, is what has started this chain of events and actions.
The top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, is asking the Navy who in the White House...
Because of Donald Trump's statements and because of his hatred for veterans, sycophants in the military are preemptively, or at least in this regard, preemptively took it upon themselves to start shunning war heroes and ships actively named after war heroes on their own instructions, again, because of the fucking commander-in-chief's hatred for that person or what they did, the sacrifice they made for this country. Just said openly in plain sight there. And again, this was in his first administration. So now we cut to now, where he's speaking in Japan in his second term here to the soldiers, I believe at Yokosuka Naval Base. It says down here, Trump's awkward moments with naval officers goes viral as crowd falls silent. This is just, I think, a few snippets. But before we get into that, I want to continue to drill this home first. And this is just a few moments. This is 7 times Donald Trump attacked John McCain. Just again, to reiterate, to refresh, before we dive into his latest speech to troops where he tries to, again, rub shoulders and make it seem like he's had their back the whole time, okay? Check this out.
I was never a fan of John McCain, and I never will be. So I have to be honest, I've never liked him much. Hasn't been for me. I've really probably never will.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is after he had passed. This is after he had died. This is after, and I think this is the same moment where he demands praise for fucking okaying the funeral or allowing him to have the state, the funeral that he deserved as a fucking military hero. I believe this is the same speech. But again, he's talking about him, that he's never going to like him, probably never will, after the man had already died. And this is Trump's tweet. The very foul-mouthed Senator John McCain begged for my support during his primary. I gave, he won, then dropped me over locker room remarks. Again, this is over the, if I remember correctly, his, Access Hollywood tape where he said he could grab women by the crotch without their consent because he's a star and they let you do it.
Graduated last in his class at Annapolis. And he was upset. I said, why, for telling the truth? See, you're not supposed to say that somebody graduated last or second to last in their class.
No, it's somebody that didn't go to these naval academies, didn't go to these military academies, didn't go to all the fucking training regiments, didn't go through all the fucking hard work and the dedication and the sacrifices that they had to, didn't fucking serve their country, didn't get shot down in a combat theater, weren't held at the Hanoi Hilton. It's people like that didn't serve their country, that, demean and degrade fucking service heroes and our military vets. It's people like that have no fucking place on talking about where anybody that went to any of those schools, that dedicated their lives, that fucking upheld the oath to the Constitution, to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You have no fucking right whatsoever to combat or comment or say anything on anybody that finished in any fucking position on that. Because if they graduated, if they finished, regardless, I don't care if it was first or last, then they fucking deserve your respect, okay? Especially if they went on to have dignified military careers and then went on to serve their fucking country even further as a fucking political servant. Okay. So no, those are the people that aren't going to be afforded the right to comment on who finished where. This isn't, again, some fucking random university or, high school that we're talking about SATs or fucking where he finished with his English paper here, okay? This is another tweet from Trump. So it was indeed just proven in court, last in his class. Annapolis, again, after what we just saw, fake dossier and FBI media, hoping to prove it before it printed, but before the election, he and the Dems working together failed as usual. Even the fake news refused this garbage. More bullshit from Trump.
Why are you attacking Senator John McCain?
I'm very unhappy that he didn't.
Again, the question is, why are you attacking John McCain 7 months after his death? Just to drive that one home.
Repeal and replace Obamacare, as you know. He campaigned on repealing and replacing Obamacare for years. And then he got to a vote and he said thumbs down. And our country would have saved $1 trillion and we would have had great health care. So he campaigned. He told us hours before that he was going to repeal and replace. And then for some reason, I think I understand the reason, he ended up going thumbs up. And frankly, had we even known that, I think we would have gotten a vote because we could have gotten somebody else. So I think that's disgraceful.
Again, and this is all in talks of Trump's non-existent healthcare plan that ended up being exactly what we thought it was going to be, non-fucking-existent. The same thing that was given to, what was it, Leslie Stahl by Kayleigh McEnany, that big fucking binder with words that were, oh yeah, what's that? Non-existent in that, didn't actually exist. But again, we're talking about millions of people that still are able to receive health care on some respects, as opposed to Donald Trump's lack of plans where nobody gets anything, or maybe he has concepts of a plan at this point. Maybe he's got concepts. This goes on. It gets worse too. This is probably the most prominent one that people remember here, where he talks about John McCain not being a war hero because he was captured.
Because we could have gotten somebody else. So I think that's disgraceful. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. 5.5 years. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you. Do you agree with that? He's a war hero because he was captured, okay? You can have, and I believe...
Correction, he's a war hero because he served. Getting shot down, being captured doesn't make you a war hero, right? Serving your military, serving your country, sacrificing yourself, putting yourself, behind, a bigger fucking cause. You know what I mean? Putting the cause in front of you. You know what I mean? Sacrificing your fucking livelihood for the bigger mission. That's what makes you a hero. That's what makes you a fucking war hero. Okay, so for this fucking, again, degenerate prick, this fucking lazy bastard, this pussy ass bitch to sit here and fucking talk about war heroes, to talk about who graduated where at Annapolis and naval academies and military academies, and to in any way, try to, again, demean anybody that served this country is just fucking beyond the pale. And just, I don't know, if I continue to try to find words to describe this, I'll actively get booted off of YouTube. So it's too much. And I'm sure there are many people in the chat that either serve themselves, have family members that are serving right now, people that fuck grandfathers, aunts, uncles, whatever it may be, that gave up, right, their livelihoods or even their lives possibly to serve this country, to benefit our society, only to have this fucking degenerate come in and talk shit about him? No, not happening. Not on my watch.
Perhaps he's a war hero, but right now he said some very bad things about a lot of people. And I gave him the kind of funeral that he wanted. Which
again, this is the exact same time he's talking about him after his death as the first clip that we saw, right? As the first clip, same background, same everything. And he's talking about how he deserves praise, or he's mad that nobody gave him praise for approving a funeral that he even himself says he had to approve.
President, I had to approve. I don't care about this. I didn't get thank you. That's okay. We sent him on the way, but I wasn't a fan of John McCain.
I think if I had told my dad, 7 months after you're dead, you're going to be dominating the news and all over Twitter.
And again, this doesn't even, she goes on to defend her dad as she should, but that doesn't even bring into account the times when he mocked him for, again, not having full use of his arm. And again, that's because he was tortured when he was shot down for serving his country, right? So again, to put that in perspective, for a guy that had, what, 6, 7 deferments, faked having bone spurs so that he could actively dodge the fucking drafts so that he didn't have to serve his country, to have that guy go on and start shitting on people that actively served, that put themselves in the cockpit of a fucking fighter jet and flew over enemy territory, that actively took fucking, return fire, that was shot down, spent time in a POW camp, escaped, came back to serve his country even further. Like, fucking Jesus Christ. I can't even tell you how much that frustrates me and pisses me off, right? I mean, it's unbelievable to think that in today's day and age, like, that's not called out more. Like, the fact that just these remarks that have been said in the past by Donald Trump weren't enough to get this country to be like, all right, this guy's a fucking degenerate scumbag loser. He is just a weak, pathetic little bitch. And, and we need to, I don't know if we need to start giving, like, some of these people that voted for him a little bit more of an out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying leeway, but a little bit more area to hit reverse, right? So not calling them, affording them the ability to be like, okay, listen, you have been duped by a machine that has spent a lot of time, energy, and resources doing exactly that, like trying to do exactly that, right? So Fox News, the Trump regime, the fucking arms and tentacles of the Republican, party, and all of their commentators and all of the media figures that they have, right? A lot of time, energy, and resources has been put into, duping these people who may not be the most educated, who may not be the most informed, right? So in order to, again, give them a little bit of room to hit that reverse, to put on the old fucking reverse lights and do, I don't know, some sort of reversal, we need to give them a little bit of room, a little bit, a little bit of space there. And I know that's a hard thing to do, especially after seeing what we've seen over the last 10 years. Just believe me, I've covered it myself here. So I understand. But, we have to start letting people see that there is an off-road. There are off-ramps to that fucking, to the bus that they're on, to the train that they've been fucking kidnapped and put on, right? And it's not just, hey, you voted for this guy, so you're a moron. You can never be accepted in society again. It's just, you were duped. Let's recognize that you were duped. Let's recognize that you made a mistake in who you voted for, and let's correct that mistake, and let's see if we can, maybe work together and see if we can, find the right people that, represent us and have our best intentions in mind. So again, I know it's harder, but easier said than done, but, just a little 2 cents there. But what do you say we dive into, did I get to everything there? Let's dive into a little bit of this, and then we'll get into the front lines in Ukraine. All right. Let's start this, put this on the screen here, put this up. And again, we're not going to do this whole thing. Just, I think this is skipping over a few of the highlights anyway. So let's see what this asshole had to say. And again, keep in mind everything that he said about the vets, everything that he said about the military, everything that he said and done about John McCain, the story about the warship named after John McCain, his father and his grandfather, all being warheads, forced to be hidden out of sight with the sailors, not being allowed to attend the ceremony. So yeah, let's dive into this.
Everywhere we go, America is actually making peace, and it's peace through strength. When they look at this, when they look at you people, they say, we're not going to mess around with them. So it's very important. After years
Is that what they're saying, though? Is that what the Venezuelan fishing boat said after, I don't know, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th strike? Or does it seem like you're having to, again, carry out more and more strikes without any end in sight? Because, again, the point that you're trying to get across, the point that you're trying to make isn't being well received, right? So if you're going to believe anything that this guy says, you would be apt to believe that after, I don't know, the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd strike on these people, they'd be so scared out of their wits, they'd be so fucking afraid to hop in one of those boats that there wouldn't be a need for another strike. But here we are, 50 dead people later, and I don't know, what are we at now? 14 different strikes or something like that. Does it seem like that's subsiding? Does it seem like the message is getting across? Does it seem like they give a shit that you're taking out even 4 boats in a day?
Inflation. Back home, we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Energy costs are down.
So excuse me, sir, if you're not going to add because of the incompetency, because of the corruption, because of the bullshit and the nonsense coming from your administration and its handling of COVID, or mishandling of COVID, I should say, if you're not going to directly attach the inflation that we saw, the over 1 million deaths that you were responsible for, to, again, that direct disease that you were president for when it came onto our shores and, again, killed over 1 million people in our country. If you're not going to directly tie those things together, I guess I'm going to have to fucking do it for you.
You know, energy costs are way down. Gasoline.
Bullshit. Tell me in the chat. Is he lying? Is he lying? Have you guys seen this? Is this being represented in your towns, in your cities, in your states, these lower fucking price costs, these lower energy costs? I'm sure he goes on here too.
Prices are way down. Grocery prices are way down.
Lies, bullshit, horse shit, cow shit, manure, sheep shit, all the shit you can think of, dog shit, bullshit.
We have a little problem with beef. We're going to get that down.
Oh, do you? Is that, I don't know, does that have to do with Argentina at all? Does that have anything to do with, I don't know, maybe the 40 billion that we're sending to Argentina, the soybean farmers, and now apparently buying beef from Argentina as opposed to, I don't know, maybe the farmers that we have here in the country and helping them out, the ones that sell beef. And then you're going to try to lower the price of beef, which again is going to hurt more farmers in the United States, more than you've already hurt up to this point, again, with forcing China and Argentina together and China buying Argentinian soybeans and not the soybeans from America, which is, again, hurting American soybean farmers. But don't worry, because Peter Thiel and JD Vance have Acre Trader. That's right, folks. They have an app that allows you to, or in a case of JD Vance and Peter Thiel, if you're extremely rich, you can buy pieces of these farms that are going out of business because of the direct policies and the tariffs put in place by the Trump regime. So you see how one hand feeds the other there? See how one fucking corrupt part of the regime puts in the policies, and then the next part of the corrupt regime is there to scoop up the profits or scoop up what's left in order to turn that into profits? It's funny how that works. But look it up, Acre Trader. I shit you not, Acre Trader, ACRETRADER. Look into who's invested in it, look into who's running it, and you'll find the question marks that we brought up here in Blunt Politics.
Very quickly, but the prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down despite having an incompetent head of the Fed. I call him too late. He's always too late. He's too late in lowering interest rates. I call him Jerome Too Late Powell.
And again, I do want you to recognize the reaction, or again, lack thereof, from the service members in the background, and how different this is compared to his reception at, again, the so-called 250th celebration with the Navy, at Pendleton there, where they shot off the missiles and actually hit JD Vance's fucking security car there. But I want you to look at the faces. I don't see like a ton of smiles. I think this guy kind of laughed at what he just said. But other than that, I don't see too many people, like fucking enthused, smiling, cheering, right? Even if I get out of the way here, let's see if I'm missing anybody. Maybe I'm in the way of some cheering. Nope. Doesn't seem like there's any. Look at Jesus Christ. Look at that guy. He's clearly not.
But despite having.
Right? I mean, nothing there. You got nothing. I mean, like I said, this guy cracked a little bit of a smile with the Jerome Powell line, but that's about it.
Being a totally grossly incompetent guy, we have we blow through it because we're doing so well. Inflation has been defeated.
Wait, and what the fuck was that sentence? What do they blow through?
Totally grossly incompetent guy. We have we blow through it because we're doing.
Blow through what? What the fuck's he talking about? Did I miss something on that? What's he blowing through?
I call him Jerome Too Late Powell. But despite having a totally grossly incompetent guy, we have we blow through it because
I don't understand. Maybe blowing through the fact that he's dealing with Jerome Powell is what he's trying to get across. Maybe put a pause in there. New kids know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Put a pause in there, but I don't know. Maybe try to rephrase that in your next speech because I don't think it's coming across. Oh, I should maybe rephrase that too. Don't think it's coming out of your mouth. Nope, that's not how I want to put it either. Don't think that's going the way you thought it was going to go. Put it that way.
We're doing so well. Inflation has been defeated, and
Inflation has been defeated, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ, that's news. Didn't see that reported anywhere. In fact, the opposite of that entire statement is what I'm seeing reported, and inflation is again steadily upticking, compared to where it was, coming down when Democrats were in office. But words, what are they? They don't have real meaning. You don't actually have to have facts to substantiate what you're saying in any of these fucking speeches, right? I mean, it's just horse shit. Say whatever you want. shocks, batteries, windmills, the whole 9 yards. It all goes together. It's the weave. It's the weave.
Wages are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years, and that includes your wages. They're rising.
Now, again, I'm just kind of curious in the chat. Is that something that you're seeing too at your work? Now, has your work increased your wages? Are you guys seeing your wages increase, at the highest levels in, what do you say, 60 something bullshit years? Are you guys seeing that? I'm just want to make sure, because I haven't spoken to many people that were like, you know what? Donald Trump's economy is so fucking fantastic. I got a 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's 10% pay raise now. It's actually, no, 10 times. Oh, 10 times. Not even percent. It's times. It's times. Haven't heard that in many conversations I've had. No. Yeah. And in fact, Brandon said, nobody's even hiring. Right? Nobody's even hiring. No, sorry, Rach. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I got an email shortly before we came online, and unfortunately, Kat had to reschedule. Again, I know, it's frustrating and it's tough. I was extremely excited and still am, but it just, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to try to set these things up, especially where, they're being pulled in many directions. And again, being a small channel, if they have, the opportunity to speak with, I don't know, NBC or whatever the fuck, I'm sure they're going to choose that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but you can see how I kind of get pushed down the totem pole quite easily, which is why I continue to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel. Throw a like out there, throw a chat in the, throw a comment in the chat, because, the more subscribers we have, the more pull you seem to have, right? The more, people take you seriously, the more people seem to, show you the respect that you deserve on these platforms. But again, it's always been difficult to coordinate people. I'm sure you guys have that in your daily lives anyway. But I do apologize. I didn't mean to misrepresent you guys again in the old headline. But I swear it was supposed to happen. But we'll see if we can reschedule. We'll see if we can work that out again, because again, I did a lot of work writing down a lot of questions, and I got a lot of things that we want to get into. We've been covering a lot of the same issues that she's dealing with. Seeing her on the front line. So again, I apologize, my thing, but I'll do my absolute best to make sure that I get you guys the best guests on here going forward as well. But let's continue.
At this pace, the workers, I'm not talking about the rich people, everyone's doing well. Everyone in our country is now doing
Everybody's doing well. Is that being shown? Do you guys see that in your daily lives? Is that the videos that we're seeing with, again, ICE storming up and down streets and into Home Depot parking lots, rounding up nearly 200 American citizens? 60 to 70% of the people rounded up have absolutely no criminal record. I mean, we could go on, and again, not only that, but again, the increasing, even Marge Green's talking about this, Donald. If you can't get it past Marjorie Taylor Greene, how the fuck are you going to get it past the American people? We're not stupid. We have, dollar bills that we need to spend as well, and we can see when those dollar bills don't go as far as they used to. You know what I mean? It's pretty evident to us when, the prices don't go down and when they continue to go up. So you haven't ended the wars that you said and promised that you were going to end. And again, the promises on lower prices on everything seem to be bullshit as well. So do go on.
First term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had an economy
Bullshit.
Like nobody has seen before. Now we're doing it again, but this time actually it's going to be much bigger, much stronger. I told you $17 trillion, but it's going to be $21 trillion.
30, 35, like 60, could be even like 100 trillion, billion, gazillion by the end of this. Oof, we're going to have to make up a new number.
It's numbers that have never been heard of before.
See, we're going to have to make them up. You just never even heard of. If you hear of a number that you've never heard of, that's because we're taking in so much money off of the tariff shelf. It's a shelf in the office. It's a big shelf. It's got about 30 trillion on it right now. You should see it. Really heavy.
Much bigger than any other country in the world.
And again, look at the people in the background. Again, I just want to continuously check in. Look at the people in the background, bored to death, bored stiff, don't want to be there, unhappy, not enthused whatsoever. Guaranteed they were ordered to be there.
By literally 15, 16 trillion dollars. It's amazing.
By literally not 15, 16 trillion dollars, because if it was literally, it'd have a fucking literal exact number. See how that works? Literally 15 to 16, that's not exact. That's a literal fucking guess. That's a literal estimation. That's literal bullshit is what that is.
The sailors on this ship sacrificed so much for our country and the president, and I will tell you, the president standing right up here loves you. I respect you and I love you. And I'm giving everything I have to make sure that when you get home, you find an America that is safe and proud and sovereign and free. One service member who reminds us that we're working for.
And again, think of that being said after what we just heard, what we were just reminded of him, just a little small examples, a small snippet of just him and John McCain, right? Just him and John. That's one person, one vet, one politician, not to mention the suckers and losers and not going to the fucking cemetery in France and not wanting to get his hair wet. Like, I mean, all of these things have their role, play their part in putting together the pieces, and why we know Donald Trump has absolutely no respect whatsoever for anybody that wears or dons that uniform, and has actually contempt for people that do so because he thinks they're stupid. He thinks they're fucking schmucks. He thinks they are pawns. They are just weak and being used. And they're scum because they don't have a father that can get them deferments, and they don't have these fucking connections to get them out of it. They just didn't play it right. You know, how he talks about how he's, you know, he uses the tax bracket and the tax loopholes, right? He's just smart. It's just good. He cheats the country and somehow managed to pay $750 in taxes as he was president. The same year he gave, a couple $100,000 to China, right? Remember that whole thing? It's funny how we forget all of these fucking different things that have happened throughout his terms. But, you know, that's a thing that happened too. So all these loopholes that everybody's smart. Nope. Oh, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is the same guy that says there's suckers and losers, doesn't like people that are captured. You're not a war hero just for serving, right?
You and for everybody and for our country is Chief Warrant Officer Will Hightower, who serves on the George Washington in the all-important DEC department. Do you know what the DEC department is? I have no idea. But they do. In April 2024, Will sailed away from Norfolk, leaving behind his wonderful wife, Megan, their precious 6-year-old daughter, and their 1-year-old son. In the past,
you never did. Well, you did do that, but it was only to cheat on them with a porn star. I can see how you can relate the two, though. Going off to war, leaving your friends and your family and your kids behind to go to a foreign land, you know, to fight for democracy, to actively engage in combat with people trying to fucking shoot you in the face. I can see how you could kind of put that together with leaving your family, your wife that just recently gave birth to your 5-month-old son. I can see how you could kind of put two and two together, leaving them, going to a golf tournament in fucking Utah or wherever the fuck it was, and cheating on them with a porn star. I could see how, you know, two of those, you could put those in the same basket.
12 months, he has only been home for 3 weeks total. 3 weeks. An enormous sacrifice, very tough on the family, but an experience everyone on the ship really
How the fuck would you know, you cowardly son of a bitch? Who wrote this? Because if it was Stephen Miller, he doesn't fucking know either. And Stephen Chung hasn't seen his fucking shoelaces in the last 35 fucking years. You think he's writing about the experiences of a combat soldier? Get fucked.
Very well. In February, Will's tour will come to an end, and he will finally be going home just in time for his daughter's birthday. So, Will, I want to thank you together with all of those people that go through the same thing. I want to really thank, where is Will? Is Will around here? Where is Will? Wow, look at him. But he's a good looking
look at the fucking big, I mean, even when they're trying to, again, represent, he's trying to applaud and like commend one of the people. Like he can't, even the crowd behind him's like, oh, this fucking idiot. He doesn't know what doesn't know what the deck crew is. He doesn't know what this guy, like he never served. Like listen to the crowd. Like you'd think there'd be a little bit better reception to this, you know, kind of recognizing one of their own, but they're just so not happy to be here and done listening to this guy that they're like, all right, yep.
Where is Will? Is Will around here? Where is Will? Wow, look at him. But he's a good-looking people here. That's great, Will. How does it feel? Good? That's great. Feels amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, would you? That love and that desire to get back to your family, that desire to get back to your kids, right? That desire to get back into the loving embrace of your families because you've left them for so long. That's something that you just can't you can't fathom. You can't recall that. So what you'd have to do is listen into the words coming out of his mouth and then just kind of reiterate those and make it seem like you understand what the fuck he's talking about when he expresses those feelings. You know, the feelings that you as a sociopathic, narcissistic piece of shit don't have.
Fantastic. See, in the old days, I'd say, does your wife still love you? But I don't do that anymore, you know?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Does your wife still love you? Yes. Do you still love your wife? Every day. That's good. Okay, that's good. So that's good. Great. Beautiful. Say hello to your daughter, right? And your wife. And just in conclusion, every sailor...
Jesus Christ, say hello to your daughter. He had to slip it in. Had to slip it in there, didn't he, folks? He actually said the daughter before the wife, too, didn't he? He actually said, say hello to your daughter, and then say hello to your wife. I wonder if that, that sequence in the way he brought those, I wonder if that has any reference to maybe his past, maybe his friendship with Epstein, maybe the fact that he's still engaged in the world's biggest conspiracy and cover-up, again, as I said, in history, protecting the most and biggest ring of known and high-profile pedophiles in the history of the world. Yeah, that guy.
Say hello to your daughter, right? And your wife.
Yeah, your daughter, then your wife. Yeah, that's pretty telling. That's pretty telling. Okay.
And just in conclusion, every sailor here today inherits a legacy of valor and grit and glory unmatched in the long history of mankind's voyage.
Unless you're captured. I'm sorry. Unless you're captured or you serve on the USS John McCain, everybody else, apparently you've done well. If you've been captured, you're a piece of shit. You're actually not a war hero. You don't deserve the recognition. You should probably be stripped of your medals. Yeah, you shouldn't receive your benefits as a military vet either. And again, can we clap it up for the Air Force veterans that were stripped of their benefits? Everybody, please, lady. Oh, no, nothing? Okay.
It's a voyage like nobody's ever had like you have. For 2.5 centuries, America's Navy has preserved the vision of our first commander-in-chief who gave this ship its storied name, its righteous soul.
And the USS John McCain. No, wrong ship. What was that ship? Sorry, what was it?
Timeless motto, first in war, first in peace. Very famous phrase, George Washington. After 250 years, that is exactly what our country is today. It's first in war, first in peace.
See, again, I'm not sure you want to, at this moment in time, again, when you've killed about 50 people, you're threatening war against the cartels, you haven't solved shit in Gaza, definitely haven't solved shit in Ukraine. Might want to be careful on the words that you choose now. First in war, I don't know, might seem like you're, trying to actively get us involved in a war without, again, congressional approval. Oh, that's exactly what he's doing? Oh, in multiple areas, not just one? And he's not asking Congress. Oh. All right. No, just checking.
Wealth, first in power, first in science, first in spirit, and first in freedom. And we went through 4 bad years, but now America will always be first again. If you have the right person up here, if you have somebody that understands a lot of different subjects, we're going to be bigger, better, stronger, and more important. Really,
you have anybody that you could point out, anybody at all that has any understanding of any subject whatsoever that we could put up there that would be, do you have a blind and deaf dog, perhaps, anywhere in the crowd that may be able to do better than this fucking degenerate piece of shit?
Frankly, to the world, Japan respects us. If you see what's going on all over the world, they're respecting us again. They respect us like never before. Which,
again, is a statistical fact that could be fucking disproven, right? So it's basically a provable fact that anytime Donald Trump has been in the White House, in office, that our country has never been less respected, right? Or less honored on the world stage. Like, we consistently, and, every time he's in there, lose respect on the world stage. And that's, again, something that is, something you can calculate, something that you can prove.
The treatment they gave me all over as I go around to different countries is great, but it's really a respect for me, but it's a bigger respect for our country. They respect our...
Jesus Christ. He can't even bring himself to make the point that on behalf of the United States of America, these other countries are being nice to him on behalf, like, he has to make it and fucking put it in there that it's, they're being nice to me, but, in reality, that's maybe something like being nice to the country. You hear that bullshit? Listen.
Great, but it's really a respect for me, but it's a bigger
respect for me,
respect for our country. They respect our country again. They didn't respect our country just a few years ago. From Boston Harbor to
watch your fucking tongue, sir. You watch your fucking tongue unless you want to be right and behind the T. All right? You better watch it.
Roads, and from Caribbean Sea to the Red Sea, from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
I'm sorry, but I hate to bring it up, but you and Pete Hegseth have seemingly turned the Caribbean Sea into a Red Sea over the last couple of weeks with the, tens of people you've murdered without evidence or, due process. So I hate to bring it up, but we might have to change the name. We might have to change the name of that. Can you get a proposition going for that?
Pacific, and from the Persian Gulf to what is now known as the Gulf of America. Isn't it nice? They say it now routinely. I heard the news today. The Gulf of America, weather is wonderful. They don't say it with a smile. It's called the Gulf of America. How did that happen, right? And it took me, for many years.
Again, let's do a check on the crowd. Crowd check. Does anybody seem to give a shit what he's talking about or what he's saying? Does anybody look enthused? Anybody look interested, even mildly interested at all whatsoever? Young lady over here is asleep. Don't blame her. This guy, again, seems to have a perpetual smirk on his face above Donald Trump's left shoulder, right by the Venmo there. But other than that, don't see anybody else very interested whatsoever, looking in other directions, not giving a shit. Pretty spot on for any one of his speeches.
I said, why is it called the Gulf of Mexico when we seem to have the show? Well, we do. We have 92%.
Fucking Christ, I don't care about that. As a matter of fact, I don't care about what he says in general after that. I just don't fucking care. He's an idiot. He's a moron. He is an absolute moron. He's a tool. He's a degenerate. He's incompetent. He's ignorant. He's on his way out the door. He's about 5 feet of the 6 feet that he needs to be below ground legally per the requirements for the cemeteries. But yeah, let's dive into this last little bit, this last video that I wanted to dive into, because I don't want to run out of time. I want to make sure we have at least enough time to cover a half hour of this at the least, because this is taking us right to the front lines to kind of, give a role reversal here, to got a little switch of direction. So we don't have to keep listening to that asshole and his fucking tiny ass mouth spew propaganda. But this is, again, put out by United 24, titled The Enchanted Forest, 4 Days in the Most Dangerous Forest with Ukraine's Fiber Optic Drone Unit Signum. And this is probably the best representation right now to tell you or kind of accurately show you what's going on as far as the advancements in drone technology, how people are operating on the front lines, and the type of people that we're talking about that are willing to, again, fight for their homeland against an overwhelming force because of the passion that they have, again, for their territory. So let's see if we can put this on. I'll make this a little bigger for you guys so it's the full screen. Please allow me to dive into a little bit of this. I really do appreciate it. Again, this is put out by United 24, entitled Enchanted Forest, 4 Days in the Most Dangerous Forest with Ukraine's Fiber Optic Drone Unit Signum. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, if not for me, but for the valiant men and women of the armed forces of Ukraine. Heroyam Slava, Slava Ukraine. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And let's dive into this.
I hate this sound.
Бажаю здоров'я. Це війна. Лечу в'їбало.
And I want you to really take into account, like, where these people are living, how they're dealing, like their attitudes, right? How still fucking determined they are to battle against this fucking overwhelming horde trying to take over their homeland. It's amazing. And again, I might just speed it up just a touch to see if we can get through just a little bit more than maybe we would have. But again, just remember that this is only 4 days. This is over 4 days, and you'll get to meet the journalist here that's responsible for this video in just a second. But keep all of that in mind.
This is a large burrow in the ground. the deadliest forest of Ukraine. The people you see are painting a free and independent Ukraine. The colors are black, gray, and a lot of red. But what does it take to paint it? Good night or good morning, everyone. So this is officially the start of my first frontline trip by myself, and today I'm embedding with the optic fiber drones unit of Signum Battalion. So right now the most sketchy part is ahead of me, the road, and I really hope everything goes well.
So just for the sake of time, I'll fast forward to where he actually arrives with his unit, with the people, with the soldiers, just a couple seconds anyway. So check this out.
In my armor, on the back seat. Besides silent soldiers. Next to me, a pile of wooden boxes with God knows what inside. On the dashboard, a futuristic device flashes in the dark.
And this is pretty crazy too, because we had the opportunity to tour drone factories in factories that were tasked with equipping vehicles like this with drone jamming technologies. Of course, those don't have any effect on the fiber optic drones, but at the time, I mean, that's just, again, showing you how fast this progresses. When we were there was still a big push to get these trucks outfitted with, you know, the technology that would allow you the ability to jam the drones. And again, this is, I believe, an updated version where in this truck, they actually have a screen. And if at any time during this, they can see themselves depicted on this screen, then they know they're in fucking trouble. Like, they know there's a problem. They know that the signal's been picked up and that they're being picked up by other signals. So, I mean, it's, you can just, again, just the progression, the technological progression in this war is just, it's insane.
It's a drone video signal interceptor. If we see ourselves on this monitor, it's a bad sign. The road is long and bumpy, but it goes without accidents. Welcome to what soldiers call the Enchanted Forest. The saying goes, it's a magical forest. You enter on both legs, and you leave without. The soil is soaked in blood, and the trees are shattered and hurt. In between, for soon 4 years, the war. For the next couple of days, this will be my home.
Все, успіхів, дякую.
А рульбайка наша? Наша.
So let's see if I can just show you a little bit. They do depict where they are in the forest here, but if I could just kind of show you. So this is, let's see if I can pull up the right area in where they are here. Well, I'll let the video play. I think he says it not too long from here, but they're basically in the very last remnants of territory being held by the Ukrainian military. In that specific oblast where, you know, they'll show the very tiny sliver of forest that they're being held, that's held onto, and you'll see just how difficult a position these people are actually in. Check this out.
I hate this sound. A lot of stuff going on. The drones, incoming, outgoing artillery. Thankfully, we're here, covered by the trees, deep in the forest.
And I was kind of taken aback a little bit by this. And I don't know if anybody has, you know, big a fan or as big of a watcher of like World War II documentaries or military movies or anything like that. But what kind of struck me in this, and I don't know if you guys recognize it, but is the foliage, right? How much foliage there is. And you'll see later on in some of their drone activities what the remainder of the forest look like, and that'll give you a better representation. But I was kind of surprised to see the amount of foliage, because typically, even though this was, I believe, a national preserve, this was like a wildlife area before the war. The artillery, the drone strikes, the fires, and all that has a way of removing the foliage very quickly and rapidly and killing the trees and everything around that area. So it just looks barren and bare. So I was a little bit surprised to see just how well covered they are in this area.
Nevertheless, the situation is kind of action-packed here.
And what's crazy in this area and where they are specifically, like they have a tough time identifying whether or not the drones and the sounds you're hearing overhead, which is a fucking eerie and like scary sound, especially if you know you're potentially being hunted by one of those things that has the ability to maneuver and fly and do everything that you can do and go into every pretty much crack and crevice that you can fit yourself into as well. But you don't know if it's your drone, right? You don't know if it's Ukrainian drones outgoing from positions behind you going into Russia, or if it's Russian drones hovering the area looking for you. So you're always in a constant state of like anxiety and like on edge.
The reason for me being by myself is pretty simple. The road is too dangerous and there's no room in the car, there's no room in the dugout. So you have to bear with me and my filmmaking skills, but I will do my best to document what's going on here and how the guys fight and burn Russian vehicles and soldiers. Turns out the boxes that kept hitting my...
Now you get a little bit of, footage into, the daily lives, the areas in which these people the soldiers spend their days and their time, right, in these fucking incredibly hostile areas.
Were full of drones and ammo. I arrived with a long-awaited
drone blades here. I mean, it's crazy how they can get these shipments in the area that they are. It's amazing the logistics that have been put in place to supply or keep these people supplied in these areas. So to get, drone shipments like this is pretty remarkable.
Shipment. The Ukrainian Lego is assembled fast. And while breakfast is cooking,
all right, so I'm just going to stop this here, right? Because one would assumed, if you didn't know any better, right? If you just, you're just kind of looking at this for the first time, one would maybe assume that white thing being carried underneath the drone would be some sort of artillery shell or, tank fucking shell or something, a grenade or some sort of explosive device, right? But no, that is actually one massive, massive spool of fiber optic cable, right? So thin that you can't even see it right now, but will become ever more present throughout this documentary. And we can see the dangers that even the fiber optic cable itself being left behind poses to the area above and beyond the impact of the drone, right? So that is a spool with, 10, 15, 20 kilometers of fiber optic cable attached, which gives the direct connection to the operator and to the drone the entire time, right? So no loss of connection, no jamming devices can help unless, again, you go out and cut that cable or you lose connection with that cable, the cable's cut somehow, then, it's going to find you.
The first drone is already looking for its prey. Just a couple of kilometers ahead, there are more burrows and more men. Those are the infantry, the ones holding the edge.
Okay, so that right there is more what you're likely to see in an active war zone, right? See how the trees are absolutely stripped bare. There's whole fucking areas where there's not a tree left standing, right? So that's more along the lines of what you're probably going to see in that area, which is why, again, it's probably so helpful and beneficial and smart of these Ukrainian soldiers to find, a dense patch of forest to hide their operation under.
Our safety depends on them. And everything the unit does right here aims to keep them safe.
Yes. Oh, man, Tomas, you're 100% right. You're 100% right, and that's actually shown and depicted in this documentary. It's kind of like, you give and take. It's like we put these nets up in order to save us from the bombs and the drones, but then on the other hand, we're now killing wildlife, and it just goes to show the humanity that these soldiers still have, because they speak about this. They speak about how it hurts them to see in this wildlife preserve, the animals being fucking, put out of homes, and how, birds by the thousands are being caught up in drone nets. Entire roads have been covered in nets where it just attracts different animals and birds. And once they get caught in there, nobody's coming to save them, right? So that's another aspect of this, Tomas. You're 100% right. 100% right.
It's satisfying to hit targets that are approaching. It could be a truck transporting military personnel to war. When you hit it, you can kill one or two, but 4 or 5 more will realize what war is all about.
Yeah, this is just for Tomas. I'll go back to that. But this is where they show in this documentary that side of the war as well. You know what I mean? So they do actively talk about the destruction, not only by the nets, but also the fiber optic cable and that sort of stuff as well. But let's see if I can go back to this. Where were we? Right here.
It's satisfying to hit targets that are approaching. It could be a truck transporting military personnel to war. When you hit it, you can kill one or two, but 4 or 5 more will realize what war is all about.
And this is like wild maneuvering of this, because you can see this entire road is covered by what they're calling a drone net, right? So you can see this entire stretch of road is covered by, you can see the poles on the side of the road, and you can see the net strung over it, right? So that these vehicles supposedly can travel down this without fear of the drones getting through. And look at the maneuvering he does just to get around the nets, goes underneath, around the poles. Again, this is all while fiber optic wire is being strung out behind the drone. And manages to get this truck coming down the street. So underneath the net again, right? Underneath the nets, you can see where you can kind of enter from the side. Right? The nets are actually hung down to the side, but he actually goes underneath. You can see the nets here still hung down to the side, goes underneath. Right in the path of the truck. Bye-bye.
Це можна дивитись вічно.
This is Sergei, call sign Schweiger, after his favorite actor. He may sound quite modest, but he has a lot to be proud of. Firstly, there are hours of such videos on his hard drive. Secondly, he's credited with the first documented combat use of an FPV drone.
And you guys might even recognize this because we played this on the fucking show, I don't know, what, 2-3 years ago at this point? So this Sergei, call sign Schweiger, is actually the first documented FPV drone, used in the use of combat to take out a soldier, right? So check this out. You might even recognize this with the blue door, the famous blue door.
The mission took place in Velika Kumashuwacha in June 2022.
So right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse on the screen circling, but this blue door right here, keep an eye on right here.
And is remembered here as the Force House with the blue door. That launch has probably changed the future of warfare. Much has changed since then. The group has grown into a battalion. Electronic warfare has grown to interfere with radio-controlled FPVs. That's why Schweiger and his team are now flying the next big thing.
So now they're already, like I'm saying, it's obsolete in the eyes of this, in the eyes of this group right now to have radio-controlled drones, because they're, the Russians have the ability to jam those. They have the ability to, to put out frequencies in different ways in order to make sure that they, don't have the impact, don't actually reach the target, right? So now we're on to the bigger and better things, the next stage of this drone war, which is, again, this fiber optic, which, again, brings its own challenges and troubles that they go on to talk about.
What I'm holding in my hands is the 13-inch FPV drone, but what makes it outstanding and probably the most dominant weapon on the battlefield at this very moment in Ukraine is this spool of optic fiber below, which basically...
He calls it optic fiber the whole time, but it's fiber optic cable, and it's basically, to anybody that doesn't know, compare it to fishing line, right? Just very thin wire, very similar to fishing line, fishing string.
Leads to the pilot.
I mean, you can see there how very thin it is. It's almost, let me hop out of the way for a second. You can almost tell it's almost invisible, even with how close it is. Watch, if he moves it just a little bit, you could probably make
and this spool gives
in it. You can see it just there. You can just make it out right there, the string. That's how fucking thin it is. And this now is covering forests, battlefields, roads, villages. It's all over the fucking place.
This optic fiber gives the pilot a perfect image and makes the drone unjammable. It is completely independent from radio frequencies.
I still don't know how the hell they're able to take off from such a densely packed area with fiber optic cable with a drone like that. I mean, look at the fucking area they're taking off in. It's incredible. How the hell they don't crash?
And any sort of electronic warfare.
Але це вже вирити, ніхуя. О, тут уже вход готовий. Туда. Ну я у вхід залетів, зараз побачимо, що там буде. Може, треба було на кришу?
This technology has completely changed the dynamic of the front line in Ukraine. At this very moment, at this day, there is no 100% cure.
And that's the issue, right? That's the issue for both sides. Both sides are now in this cat and mouse race to come out with some sort of defense, something to combat against the fiber optic drones, which, again, as he just said, has no 100%, definite anything like a button you could push that's going to, make them drop out of the sky or make them lose contact or anything like that, right? There's different ways, again, running out there with a pair of scissors or, doing something in order to, try to interrupt the wire, but again, not 100%, definitely not hugely effective, and definitely not going to be easy to find somebody to go out there with a pair of scissors to stand underneath or behind a drone that's loaded and packed with explosives.
From getting targeted with such thing. There's some methods like the anti-drone nets that you've probably seen a lot of times by now, but 100% cure, it does not exist. That is why going to the front line is not as fun anymore. It is actually really scary because getting targeted, getting seen by a drone like this means in 90% that you're gonna die or you're gonna get injured.
And that's just a scary thought, right? I mean, just to have that thought in the back of your mind when you hear that sound of the drone overhead, that, if it's a fiber optic drone and that thing spots you, that you have a 99 or, a 90% chance of either being fucking, severely harmed or, more likely being killed by this thing. And there's just nothing you can do. There's no button you're going to press. Again, unless you can spot that very thin wire or something and somehow get behind it, which, almost, it sounds ridiculous to even say.
Well, we set fire to the forest near their positions, and their equipment burned down. Drones and ammunition. They were using fiber optic ones. So to speak, our effectiveness has improved in some ways. In some ways, it has become what it used to be, when there weren't so many electronic warfare means and various anti-drone systems. For specific tasks, effectiveness has improved significantly.
Even outside of this dugout, there are thousands of man-hours being put
And this
into
goes in to show you how they're now manufacturing their own fiber optic cable. They're now manufacturing in-house everything, or hopefully at one point everything that they'll need to continue to, advance in this technological race that we've seen involving drones. And now they're going to show you how they're, making their own fiber optic cable here.
making sure Serhiy can launch a drone fast and fly it where it belongs. At Signum Battalion headquarters, there's a massive drone workshop where thousands of drones of all sizes and purposes are set up before
This
they
is the
reach.
exact same type of shit that we saw, up and down different types of drone factories, whether it be, per the military or, private defense contractors, just, people sitting around building drones, testing different boards, doing what they can to figure out different creations and different steps in order to do away with Chinese parts or parts that, force them to be reliant on other countries and make everything in-house. It's just amazing how everybody's coming together, how everybody's doing their part, and how, brilliant they are, again, with the little resources that they have.
The pilots. The most impressive part of the workshop is the battalion's own fiber optic spool manufacturing.
I mean, just for instance, right? Look at this room, and this is no,
This is the room where we,
this is no, slight at anything that's going on here. This is me in amazement at what they are able to do with what little they have, right? So you'd think that, saying that Ukraine developing their own fiber optic cable would probably be taking place in, I don't know, some fancy fucking factory with white walls and people in white coats and fancy people roaming around that's, been OSHA inspected and everything's got safety and exit signs everywhere. No, we got fucking trash bags, right? Look at the room that he goes into here.
Workshop is the battalion's own fiber optic spool manufacturing.
Right, look at the seal, holes in the ceiling here, stains from fucking watermarks. And again, this is no slight. This is no dig here. This is me in amazement at how resourceful and how it doesn't matter what you give them or where you put them, that they are going to somehow succeed in their mission and they're going to make it work no matter fucking what, right? So this building would probably be shut down in any fucking U.S. city, town, or state by OSHA or by the building authority or whatever in a heartbeat. But here they're just every day churning out, weapons of war, things that they need to help their countrymen survive. And it's remarkable. It's remarkable.
This is the room where we keep our machines manufactured by us with our winding system. Here we wind 5, 10, 15, 20, and 23-kilometer reels.
Like some of these machines alone are worth more than the buildings that the machines themselves are actually fucking in. Right? Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Specifically for ourselves, for our drones, for our tasks and requirements.
Yeah, I just kind of want to show you where they are. Here's a representation of where they are in terms of Ukraine, in terms of the battlefield, in terms of Russia, and in terms of the front lines, right? So we've known how much of the Luhansk region that Russia occupies, right? Look at this. You can see just from what's going on your screen here. That's a whole lot of fucking red. But what you don't see, or what is pretty hard to see, is where they're going to be focused in on. And if you look just to the left of the L in Luhansk, you can see just a tiny bit of black area inside of that yellow territory in the Luhansk region. And that's where they are. Check this out.
Part of Luhansk Oblast remains under Ukrainian control, but the soldiers are still holding.
That is the little bit of area that the Ukrainian soldiers still hold on to in the Luhansk region, right? And as they say here, they are holding on to that with everything that they have. But that's what's going on. This is the territory that these people that we are now stationed with are in. And luckily, it's a fucking incredibly dense part of the forest.
With all their might.
So the situation in the forest has been a little bit chaotic. Of course, the Russians are pushing just like everywhere. But here, because of how thick the trees and the bushes are, some of the groups had made success with passing through the front line and going deep into Ukrainian controlled positions. That is why the guys basically carry gun with them.
So they actually have to get through the fucking front lines backwards in order to get into Ukrainian-held territory in order to resupply sometimes, right? So they're not moving forward going towards the front lines. They're actually fucking having to go backwards where the lines are actually behind them in some cases.
Where they go outside of the dugout, if you go to the toilet, you bring a gun with you because anything can happen. Moreover, colleagues of Serhiy had recently been ambushed by Russians. Thankfully, they were prepared and they were able to capture one of them. Here's a video from a couple of weeks ago.
They captured Russian that was assaulting their position that they managed to take hold of. And again, does this seem like Russia's sending in or using their best, or does this seem like, again, the Joseph Goebbels fucking military that he put together at the end of World War II with all the old and the young, right? I mean, this guy doesn't look like somebody that's being well taken care of, well fed, or even well trained for that matter. And he's got to be about 40, 50 fucking years old.
Отлично.
А багато зараз взагалі от кейсів, що проходять ці непоміченими?
Да. Є таке. Зеленка.
Oh, he's asking the soldier, are there any cases in which the Russians could kind of, make it by us without us noticing? And he says, of course. I mean, look at how dense the forest is. They could be around the fucking any tree right now and you'd never know it. And then, just to kind of show you the sounds of war that continuously happen. And check this out.
Little things in the process, like changing the camera or something else. That's what a spotter does.
Ну, майстер, так це спотер.
Це війна.
And you can tell how used to it they are, right? It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable to see. And I know we're running out of time rapidly here, and I do apologize. There's so much of this that I'd like to cover and show you guys in order to kind of give you more details and information on what, frontline life looks like, how they're treated, how they live. Again, the advancements in technology. But unfortunately, we tend to run out of time. But why don't we say we get into thanking some more people? Let's see if we can. Let's see here. We're at 16, 17 minutes. And if we have time on the next show, let's see if we can dive into that a little bit more. I'll save that for a later date. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time and your energy. Thank you so much for your patience. Once again, I apologize for the mix-up. But, we're trying here. That you can only do so much. And, of course, things come up and that you can't control. So we're going to continue to do our best to get you guys the best the best interviews and, the most prominent people on the show to continue to raise not only their profile, but hopefully the profile of the show as well. And don't forget, before I go into thanking everybody on Venmo and thanking everybody here, don't forget the 30th and the 31st, I will be stepping in to take over at least the video privileges, at least the video side of Jesse Dollamore's channel. So please wish me luck. I will need all the help and encouragement I could possibly get. I am, again, shaking and quaking in my boots. It is a huge responsibility for a channel of that size. And I am very blessed and very grateful for Jesse to reach out to me for something that important, obviously, to his livelihood. So I do appreciate it, but please, I'm going to need all the help and support I can get. If you guys have any stories, any news, breaking news that's going on, send them all my way because I'm going to need to cover it. But let's get into thanking some people. Let's see if anybody was nice enough to shoot over an old Venmo here and there because you guys are fantastic and always help me out when you know I'm in need. Let's see here. Not to track. Let's go to me. Let's go to this. Oh, thank you, Nancy. I appreciate you, Nancy. And I'm so sorry again about the Patreon links. I have since re-downloaded the app and hopefully found a new way. There's a new chat on there. Hopefully that will give me the ability to post the Zoom links on there and give everybody a different way to get a hold of that in case you were having trouble but beforehand. But thank you, Nancy, so much. Thank you, Jenny Faye. Thank you, moms. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Dame Dog. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Jenny Faye again. Oh my goodness, you've been so nice. I'm so sorry I missed these. Michael, thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, moms, again. Thank you, Teague. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Teague, again. You guys have been so nice, and I'm so sorry that I've missed these over the last couple of shows because I didn't have a phone, but I really appreciate it. I'm glad I can dive back in here and get you guys the recognition that you deserve. That goes for Tanya as well. Thank you, Tanya. And thank you all the mods in here who are kind enough not only to volunteer their time to help out in the chat, but also nice enough to contribute and be members to the channel as well. It's really cool to see. So Tanya, thank you so much for your services. Thank you so much for your contributions. And thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot. Thank you for being here for a year. We appreciate it. W! Congratulations, Tanya. Love, joy, and peace to all. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you on 20 months. Shout out to you, WW. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Paul Stanley's cat. I appreciate that as well, man. I didn't think I'd be attracting Paul Stanley's cat into the show anytime soon, but here we are, and I appreciate you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for signing up. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for hanging out in the chat. Shout out to you. All right, P? Appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel. Why does Miller always sound like he's mid-sob? Well, if you look like he looked, you'd probably be mid-sob at most points during the day as well, Rachel. But luckily you don't, and luckily you're amazing, and thank you for your contribution. Shout out to you, Rachel. We really do appreciate it here. Thank you, Yvonne. Corey Lewandowski and his bed partner, Christy Noam, are responsible for the uptick in violence. It's Border Patrol that are using the gas canisters in fighting with Border Patrol and ICE. Again, there have been some removals, some firings at the head levels of ICE, if I'm not mistaken, if I saw reported, because they're not happy with the levels of deportations that they've seen so far. I guess they're now planning on ramping that up, and they're getting even more sycophantic individuals into those positions to make sure that they see that happen. So, Yvonne, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the 10 pound. I really do appreciate it. Thank you from over the pond. Bob, shout out to you. Congratulations on being here for 10 months, my man. Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Right. Donald Trump does not want you talking about it. He does not, and he's doing everything he possibly can to obfuscate and to change the subject. So, Bob, you are 100% right. Shout out to you, my man. Shout out to Chris as well. Thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. I really appreciate you guys that take the time when you're able to sign up for a membership. I know it doesn't have to be continuous, doesn't have to be all the time. And if you've been gifted a membership, please think about when that membership runs out. If you still find yourself watching the show, signing up for another month. It's a $2.99 contribution. It's a $2.99 commitment. And it goes a long, long way as we try to reach 1,000 members here on Blunt Politics. So shout out to you, Chris. Thank you so much. Shout out to Mark G as well. McCain was a great man. Oh, and preach on, Boston Brian. I appreciate that. And again, whatever gripes and groans and moans you had as far as his political stances or his votes or, anything that he had to do or say as far as politicians, I think we can all agree that we can at least afford him the respect he deserves as a military service veteran, as somebody who, again, flew into combat, somebody that sacrificed his fucking life, pretty much, who was beaten and tortured on behalf of the United States, and then again went on to further serve his country. So I don't think it's too much for us to at least come that far. And Mark G, I appreciate you for doing that. Yvonne, again, shout out to you. Let's fucking go. Boston Brian, all the world leaders talk and laugh. I mean, really laugh about Donald Trump behind his back. Donald Trump is a total embarrassment. He just uses the troops as props. Spot on, Yvonne. You're 100% right. We've seen multiple instances and multiple, examples of the world leaders laughing at Donald Trump. One of which, the most recent I can think of, is the three gentlemen laughing about Donald Trump ending the war with Azerbaijan at the recent, I don't know if it was a UN meeting or a NATO meeting. I'm blanking on that now, but that's just the most recent one that I can think of where they were actively mocking Donald Trump in front of cameras. But you're 100% right, Yvonne. Thank you. And shout out to you. Shout out to Monica as well. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. I really do appreciate that. Thank you to Mark G. Again, Blunt News headline, inflation is dead. That would be a headline. That would be probably the only headline that you'd see saying that, because it just isn't true. But Mark G, I appreciate you. Thank you for the 5, my dude. Shout out to you. Shout out to JD. Subscribe, make Brian exploitable. Thank you, JD. I appreciate that. Keep contributing to the profanity bonus because we need it. We really do need it. I thank you very much, JD. Thank you, Mark. Again, shout out to you. It's impressive how much Trump pulls out of his backside when he speaks. Honestly, though. And then he gets away with it. He only does it so much because he gets away with it. And that's why, I basically started this show is to make sure that he doesn't get away with that bullshit that isn't being called out as it should. So thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, Rox, for your services. Thank you so much for your contributions. Congratulations. And thank you for being here for 19 amazing months. I really do appreciate that. Shout out to Coco. Appreciate you. Shout out Canada over there. Appreciate you for Flipper. shout out to you as well. Congratulations on 8 months. Good luck filling in for Jesse. You'll do great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I need all the help and support I can get. Dame Dog, thank you so much. And happy birthday, moms. Thank you so much for all your support over this time that we've been having this show. You are, a longtime member of the Patreon family as well. So we thank you for being part of the spine, the backbone of this community. And we wish you, from everybody here, from me and the chat, a very happy birthday. Thank you, Dame Dog, for bringing that to my attention. And I have to let you go. I have a ride to catch to go get a haircut so I can look all fresh and proper when I go and start making these videos for Jess. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Hit the subscribe button on the way out if you could. That would be fantastic. We'll see you Wednesday for our doubleheader. We have our 1 p.m. show, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. And then our 8:30 p.m. Night show. That's 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. 5:30 here on the West Coast. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell. Let you know when we go live. Thank you, guys. Stay proud. Stay loud. Keep kicking ass. Stay aggressive, but keep your head in a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there. But until tomorrow, until Wednesday, until the doubleheader, I will see you guys later, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you, mods, as always, and thank you to everybody in the chat that was so generous and nice enough to contribute to the channel to keep us going another day. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Keep kicking ass, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful life. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
Where you going?
Nowhere.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.